Funeral etiquette and boundaries. Why do we even have to talk about etiquette at a funeral? Doesn't everyone understand that there are certain rules that we should all follow in a civilized society in today's day and age? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Julie. If you've watched a few videos, you know that I lost my husband very suddenly and had to deal with a lot of things that I never thought I would have to deal with. And many mistakes that I made. I'm going to try to help you not make those same mistakes. Whether you've lost your husband or your wife or your life partner, some of the things that I went through that were absolutely just things that I didn't need to suffer through or experience are things hopefully that we can help you avoid having to go through it all. You wouldn't think that for your celebration of life or the funeral or the memorial service, this formal send-off that you're planning for your loved one would need a guest list. I certainly didn't think I would need a guest list. I knew who was doing eulogies. I knew what the eulogies were, so there were no surprises. That's the last thing you need. We'll talk about those in another video. I knew who those people were. I knew that they would be respectful. I had spoken to them. The Christmas season was upon us. People were going to show up because they called and said they were showing up. So I knew that there was a reason to go ahead and have this memorial service, because at first I was hesitant. I didn't even want to do anything during the holiday season, and I wasn't sure how big it should be because all of the other things that are going on. And you might come up against that because of other family obligations or some reason that you don't want to have something at a certain time. But for me, the hurdle to get through was that everything was during the holiday season. So my options were not many. We found a church that was not my church, but had been used by family members in the past. And we found a pastor who certainly seemed very sweet, and she was very nice. And but what I didn't do was ask questions, like very specific questions. I didn't ask about ushers. I didn't ask about seating specifically. I didn't ask about where people who were going to be giving the eulogies would be sitting. So this is really an important aspect that you can quickly become a doormat in the planning of all this, because if you don't speak up and you don't say, I want so-and-so to be sitting here, and articulate that, let your family know who you want to be sitting in the family section, it will be open season for seating. And one would think that if someone saw family section only, whatever, that if they were not immediate family, they would not sit there. However, that's not the case. The Emily Post handbook that, most of us, well, many of us, go to for our basic manners, sometimes that just flies out the window when, people aren't thinking. So my advice is understand who are the key people that might be flying in from out of town, people that are going to be giving eulogies, immediate family members that you want surrounding you. Make that list, let them know that they are going to be where you want them to be sitting in relation to you in the church or the venue, wherever it happens to be, and be very specific about that. Say, I want you next to me, and then after that, I want this person, and then I want that other person, and then behind me directly, I want this one, and that one, and the other one. Because if you do not make this clear, you can end up with a situation that I found myself in. I walked into the church, and this was before, and I mentioned this, that we have a blended family. Phil was married before, so my son has cousins from that previous marriage, and they needed special seating. They needed family seating. My bad was that I didn't talk to the ushers about the seating. My bad is that I didn't talk to family members to be very specific that I would like you to, and not only as a request, but as a, okay, this is a boundary. This is what I need you to do. I need you to sit here. I'm going to need support. I was reeling, as if you are a new widow, you're probably reeling. So make that list of people who you want around you and make it clear where you want them to be. Be very specific, because you have to be. Otherwise, people will be sitting probably in places where you don't want them to. The other issue that came up, and this is a lesson learned, hopefully explaining this will help you in my situation. The pastor, very wonderful person, very kind, said she would meet with the people who are speaking, the people who are going to give Phil's eulogy, right before the ceremony. And I thought, okay, great, she's got that under control. And what I didn't know is that meant everybody would be going up to the sanctuary, all of the speakers at the same time, leaving me sitting alone in the first pew, and it was a horrible feeling. I have never felt so alone or so distraught or so abandoned as that moment, because my son went up and my sisters went up, and there I sat, and that sucked. That's just the bottom line. And the person behind me, I had met maybe a handful of times and maybe had spoken to for about an hour. I don't know how this person ended up in the family section. Again, guest list. Create one. Do yourself a favor, create one. Let everyone know where you want them to sit, why you want them to sit there. And as far as the eulogies, be very clear with the pastor that no, everybody doesn't need to pile up onto the sanctuary, which is what happened, and sit there and empty out basically the family section, because family members were doing readings, and leaving others, such as myself, sitting alone. So those are some really basic questions to get out of the way early, especially if you're in the planning stages right now. If you're watching this because you know someone is going to go through this, or is going through this, please let them know that this is a very important part of the planning, and maybe one that should be done almost immediately before anything else is arranged, such as the music or whatever, that the people that are going to be surrounding you are going to be very important. And there are reasons there are seating arrangements at funerals. It identifies the family so that others who are acquaintances, maybe possibly from someone's work or their other social groups or whatever, that come to the funeral or to the celebration of life, know that these are the people in the family section that need the support, that they need the condolences. And those are the people that need to be supported. It also gives the officiant or the person doing the eulogy a place to look, because that should be directed to the family, to support the family. So just very quickly, get a guest list together. Let your family know where you want them to sit. Let them know that this is something very important to you. It's not a request. And we'll be talking about creating boundaries, because that is something that if you haven't created them before in your life, you're going to want to start to create them now. And this is one of the first ones that you can create very easily to make a day that's going to be highly charged emotionally much easier to get through. Knowing where people will sit, knowing who will be next to you, and who will be there to console you. Those are such important things that I can't even, I can't emphasize them enough. So get to know the officiant, their plan, find out who the ushers are, let them know who the family members actually are that need to sit in the family section, especially a blended family. Maybe you need 3 rows and not 2 because they randomly, the usher didn't know. Such as in my case, everything was rushed. It was the Christmas season. Oh, well, they probably need 2 rows. We actually needed 3 because of the extended cousins from the blended family. So if you can sort that out early, it's one less thing that you have to worry about later. And it will, again, make you feel so much calmer and so much more focused on what's actually happening at what should be a very sacred time when you're celebrating the life of the person that you just lost. I hope this was helpful. If you're finding these videos helpful, please share them with someone who may be going through this situation. If you can, please do make a comment about a situation that you've experienced at a funeral, perhaps, and how you dealt with seating, or as a person who went to a funeral, what you found helpful in seeing how seating arrangements were explained. Those comments are part of starting a community, and they're important for others to read too. So please, if you're finding these videos helpful, subscribe. If you've liked the video, please hit the like button. We'll go on to more boundaries and how to set them and how to be kind in setting them, because this is a time when you need to have all of the strength that you can possibly have in your corner. Thank you. And if you have just lost someone, again, as always, my heart is with you.